Welcome to the Chamber of Commerce's public forum for the upcoming election of April 6th. I would like to start by thanking the GFW for being our host tonight and the Wilmington Public Library for the use of their camera. So tonight's event will be more people, so we'll reach more people. Thank you to the candidates for joining us tonight and everybody in attendance for wanting to be involved in this election. You all know the camera is right here. This will record everything. It does 360, and then you'll be able to see all this on the computer itself. So, tonight's questions were submitted to the Chamber in advance by Wilmington voters. We received more than we have time to ask, so we will not be taking additional questions from the audience tonight. Candidates for mayor attended a prior Chamber event to answer questions on business issues. You can find that on our website at the WilmingtonIllinoisChamber.org. So if anybody don't know about it, you haven't seen it, you can go right on that link and you can see that. And you'll also be able to see it on this one also. We ask that you wear a mask when not eating or drinking, and please silence your phone, please. Now, the lady over here, if you need anything to drink or anything for the bar, they have pizza in the back also. You can contact us with the lady over here, and she will go ahead and help you get your whatever you need, food or refreshments. We're going to start off with the candidates for aldermen who are running unopposed. As you are introduced, you may make a statement introducing yourself. Ward 1.
So Steve, we're staying here where we're sitting.
Pardon?
We're staying here where we're sitting, we're not going up there.
No, you're going up there. You can call up there. From Ward 1, we have Ryan Jeffries.
Coming?
There he is. Good timing. Come on back. Good timing. You can go ahead and take the table right up here.
Oh.
And then from Ward 4, we have Tom Smith. Tom, come on, please. And Todd Holmes. Just have to watch the camera right here, so. Okay. Thank you and good luck on the city council. Now for the candidates running for contested seats. You are welcome to make a brief opening statement as you are introduced, and then we will get to the question. So we'd like each one of you to go ahead and you have 2 minutes. Say what you'd like to, why you're running, what you'd like to accomplish. Ryan, start will you please?
Why am I running? Good question. I got asked for this. I got asked by a few people in town. I'm always kind of being pushed by people downtown to go forward and try and resolve situations with the city, I guess. And I don't know, I decided to go for it. But the biggest thing everybody's always complaining about is water bills. And it's going to be a pretty hard one to get us out of this, but I think we need to start out by trying to figure out where the leaks are and cut the losses first and move on with that part of it. Of course, there's dam safety, everybody's talking about that. There's quite a few other things we need to accomplish, but I'm just not 100% informed on everything going on in the city as of now. So after I can get in and really get to look through everything, I can make a lot better decisions on this. But right now, I'm not really that informed on the absolute facts of what's going on. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tom Smith?
Thomas Smith. I've been a resident of Wilmington since 1974. Graduated from St. Rose, Providence, and the College St. Francis. And I studied political science. So back then I was actually looking forward to being a lawyer, but I ended up going into sales and marketing and definitely feel that with my background I could help. I was definitely asked to run, and being that I work for the radio stations, I feel that I can bring a different perspective to the council and people that I know. And like what Ryan had just said, I mean, I know that there's some issues in town with water, and definitely I think we need to try to grow Wilmington, not only, we definitely internally and externally. So I mean, I've been on the Catfish Days Committee with Marty for going on 20 years with my wife. And, you know, when we do that event, we bring a lot of people into this town. And they come from all over, and I mean, that's good for us. Brings tax revenue. Downtown, I mean, you know, when they come downtown, they're spending money in Ryan's shops and all the shops down there, the bars, and, you know, water loss, you know, just reading everything that's been talked about in the newspaper. Definitely know that's a big issue, and transparency too. So I give Ben a lot of credit. I don't know Ben, but just seeing what he's been writing about, you know, being transparent with the town and what's going on. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Todd Holmes?
My name is Todd Holmes. I'm running for, actually I'm a write-in candidate for a 2-year term for 4th Ward Alderman. My wife is Lisa, my oldest son is Jack, and I'm waiting for the DNA test to come back on my daughter Ashley. I was asked to take this seat for a couple different reasons. I was apprehensive, to be perfectly honest with everybody in this room. And the reason I was asked to take this seat is because of my infrastructure knowledge. I've been 34 years as a road builder. I've been a 2-time recipient of Road Builder or Project of the Year by the Illinois Road and Transportation Builders Association. The first one was 2010 for Chicago and Peatone Road, and the second one just came last year for Brick Street north of 80 project. There are 2 massive projects in this area. As everybody knows, in this town, we've got issues with our water mains. We've got issues all over this community. And I'm not going to take up a lot of time, but I'm going to say this to the 3 proposed mayors, and including the incumbent here. Whichever one of you takes this seat, you've got a hard road to hoe here. And I hope for this community and for everyone involved here, you guys step up to the plate, because we need a lot of work around here. That's all.
Okay, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. As you know, Ryan and Tom, well, all 3 of them doesn't have anybody running against them. The only thing with Todd is he's a write-in. So, thank you very much, guys. Very appreciate it. Okay, in Ward 2, we have Ryan Knight. And write-in candidates, Darla Nices and Bob Nices. I don't think they're on here.
All right.
You're gonna have an easy one, you won't have anybody to talk with on this one.
Right, that works.
Okay, ask you to say anything, you have 2 minutes, or would you like to talk with them, what you'd like to accomplish while you're running for office?
Okay. My name's Ryan Knight. I moved to Wilmington in 2015. When I moved here, I loved the town, so I wanted to stay. Ended up buying a house. Found a lady who had kids in the town, and I coach softball. I coach the Bobcats. I've been involved ever since I got here, and I want to continue my growth in the community and run for alderman. It's kind of the gist of everything. I've been in railroad construction for like 12 years. I've been in construction for 20 total years, so a lot of stuff in the area I think we can work on together. I would like to work with all political figures from the county, the city, the state, as you can see in the paper that was published yesterday. So got a good buddy on the county level, and I want to work together with everybody in the town. I'm a resident here, taxpayer here, so whatever we do is all for the city here. So that's what I want. So I'm asking for everybody's vote on the 6th. Thank you.
Okay, I got one quick question. I'm curious, you said you moved here in 2016.
15.
15, okay,
15.
thank you. What was your impression when you moved to Wilmington here in 2015?
When I moved here, I loved the town. I went to college in Wayne State, Nebraska, little small town, so I moved here and it was like an extension of college. Love the small town atmosphere. That's why I moved south of 80 when I came here, and I don't want to leave. I love it, so
Well,
I want to keep it
I'll
here.
tell you one thing, there's a lot of good people here in this town, and just like with Wilmington and everything, like Ralph Miller for years, and Eric with the awards and everything else, this town is very generous when it comes to giving, especially for the kids and everything, so.
I love it. That's why I'm here and I coach and volunteer everywhere I can, so here's another level of it. So
If you like volunteering, we got a lot of volunteering around this town.
We'll do it, whatever we gotta do, so, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. Okay. From Ward 3, incumbent Lisa Butler and Jonathan Mietzner. Please come forward. Take a seat. We got some questions, so
Oh, we got
yeah, a
questions?
couple questions. Just feel comfortable.
I'm the lucky one. All right.
Um,
Oh, boy.
Before the roll gets going, candidates, you will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. We will ring a bell when you have 15 seconds remaining and call time at 2 minutes. We
You
have a
want to do
lot,
a quick introduction at all, or no?
Yes.
yes, introduction, but yes.
Okay.
Lisa, would you like to start with the introduction, please?
I can start. Yeah.
Go ahead, Lisa,
Okay.
since you're an incumbent.
All right. My name's Lisa Butler, and I actually ran for alderman 4 years ago because I had been involved highly with my children through school, and as they were reaching graduation, it was time to move on to the next level of involvement, which was city government. I've always been one of those raised with the sense that if you have a complaint, in order to be part of the solution, you better get involved. And so that's why I got involved with the city. I heard too many people complaining about various things like the water bills, like the dam, like just general politics and keeping the roads repaired and things like that. And so instead of just sitting around on my front porch complaining and whining, I decided to get involved and do something about it. So I ran, and I will continue to run.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
All right. Name is Jonathan Mietzner. I've been married to my wife Jennifer for 26 years. We have one son, Zachary, who is a senior in college, and unlike Todd, I know that he's got my DNA. He's, 6'5" redhead, so kind of know it's mine. Jennifer, I remember is at the Island City Baptist Church. Kind of my background, I've been employed by the Chicago Mercantile Exchange for 17 years, working in the finance organization, working with the technology division. Earned my MBA, my Master's of Business Administration back in 2019 from Concordia University in Chicago. That's where I also did my undergrad many years ago. I previously served as alderman in the 1st Ward and 3rd Ward, about 9 years total. The last time I served was from 2005 to 13 in the 3rd Ward. And basically what I'm running for again is just, I wanted to be able to utilize my past experience as alderman, my education that I have, as well as my work experience. I worked well previously with the council and kind of is helping with issues with the different mayors that I worked under. And I want to keep going at that. I see a lot of challenges in our infrastructure. Obviously that's been mentioned already, the growth on Lorenzo Road, and hopefully some potential residential growth. We got 200 plus lots available within city limits right now that can be built. So that doesn't include anything else that has to be done to annex or anything else. One of my primary goals, and again, we keep hearing about this with projects, is to start establishing some short-term and long-term development plans, goals related to the infrastructure, related to our own buildings, and what are we doing with our buildings? We got to replace a building at the water plant. Setting up replacing of our city streets. Todd mentioned the issues with the sewer and water. We also have streets that are basically crumbling in areas that we probably shouldn't have that happen. They're main thoroughfares. So looking at setting those up, these long-term and short-range plans, and reviewing them regularly with the council, the mayor, the city administrator, whoever that is, and working through and the department heads. Getting that information together and working at it, looking at it, not just looking at it when it pops up, but looking at it continually. Where's the plan at? Again, in 2 years, we could have 4 new aldermen sitting down going, what's going on in the city? Here's the layout of the plans. This is what we've done. This is what we have planned to do. And this is how are we going to pay for it? That's what we have to get done, set up in place and get going on that. We hear of shovel-ready projects. Nothing can be shovel-ready until you start planning for it and find the money to spend for it We can sit and talk about it, but until we do it, it's not gonna happen. Last couple things. Obviously, we talked about, we've heard the damn issue is what we keep hearing about. We got, whatever we do, whoever gets elected mayor, we got to figure something out there. I was on for 8 years. We started the path down and it stopped. So we can't just stop. We got to keep going. And then the utility rate situation, yeah, they're high. I did some research recently and I was kind of stunned. I didn't realize it got to that level. But we hear about the water loss. Todd brought that up. I don't have a crystal ball how quickly that can be accomplished, how much money will it take to do it, and then does that actually lower our rates? So, and then the other thing is we're hearing a lot of the replacing the meters. We need to be able to get those and start, hire the staff. We have to get the meters replaced, get those put in place so we start, properly monitoring. Obviously, we had COVID, that set back the city, and we also had loss of a staff member that set that back as well. So hopefully we can get moving on that. So just a final comment. I think when you mentioned the whole good thing about and I'm sorry for taking long, but you talked about the volunteering, and that's one of the things we have in our community. Is you look at the churches and the members contribute greatly. We've got Christian Help Association, you got Kuzma Cottage, you got the Caring Closet. We have a lot of good things in this community, and too often we hear of the things we don't have, but look around, we have a lot of things that we've got. The retail, and I maybe not retail, but we've got car dealerships, pharmacies, grocery stores, movie theaters, florists. We got a brewery, for crying out loud. How many small towns have all these things? Not many. There's a lot of people, when I tell them what we have, they go, wow. So we have a lot of good things here. And lastly, I've discussed issues with Ben Dietz. I've worked with Mayor Strong. I've worked with Mayor Orr in my time on council. And I can work with whoever is elected. And I will tell you this, I will also challenge him when it's necessary. So, thank you. And challenge respectfully, never to the point of fighting.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. All right. Okay, I've got some questions here for you guys, since you're the ones that are going to be running opposed, I should say. Okay, what can the city council do to improve Wilmington so young people want to stay instead of move away? Lisa?
Well, pre-COVID, one of the things that I actually asked that question of several friends of mine, both older and younger people of all age ranges, and one of the things that they said was they wanted more experiential retail, is what it was referred to. So things like a craft store where you could go in and actually do a painting there and then buy supplies as you leave. So there escape rooms, those kinds of things. So the younger generations were looking for more activity-based things to do in town. And I believe that was the question you were asking. Because if you look at the generations, the millennial generation, which is a generation that's entering the workforce and is the one that's buying houses right now, buying cars, having children, they actually like a sharing economy. And so they're looking for ways that they can share houses, share cars. So bringing in those kinds of things into Wilmington. So what would have been a bed and breakfast back in the day, but some kind of an Airbnb type of a situation along the river, or bringing in Lyft and Uber for transportation to solve some of the issues with that. Those are things that would need to come in to solve that age group.
Okay. Jonathan?
Interesting question, considering I have a senior in college. Keeping them here, I mean, I look around, and I mean, I know there are people that leave, they looking and they see the greener pasture all in the bigger cities, the suburbs, and it ain't always greener. Things get a little bit more complicated when you get north. But what do we do as a council is, I think we literally try and set examples when as council, we look at like the housing situation, we look at housing, we look and try and hopefully that the housing is available. It's there for young people when they go get jobs. Obviously, we have jobs all around us. you got to look, you go up north on 55, we got the chemical plants, we've got the refinery, we've got local 150, we've got a lot of different availability of a lot of things here. And even going forward, working with people working from home is going to probably be growing with what happened with COVID is companies are going to start looking at it going, okay, we just want people working from home. I think Mr. Dietz works from home. I've been working from home for a year. So I think it's just looking at it as providing options for the younger ones to see. I mean, they look again, they might look and see something better, but you start looking in town and go, you look at we mentioned the youth football programs, the youth baseball programs, the kids being involved and where they can grow a family and do successfully. I think we just keep Wilmington growing at a good pace and a smart pace and providing the housing for them to be able to start that off is a good thing. I mean, I started off, when my wife and I started off our first house in Brookside, 26 years ago. So.
Okay. Thank you. Lisa, do you want Wilmington to grow or would you rather see the city stay as it is now?
Oh, I think there's room to grow. And I would like to see it grow in a balanced formation where we're growing not just residential areas. I think, Mietzner, you mentioned the number of empty lots for residences. I would like to see that housing area grow, but I'd also like to see businesses grow. I'd like to be able to bring in a little more business, so we have those sales tax dollars as well. And then we're getting industry through our partnership with Elion and Ridgeport. And so I think there's going to be growth there. We just have to make sure that the residential and the business side grow at the same rate. So yes, I would like to see growth.
Okay. Jonathan?
Yeah, most definitely growth. Obviously, we have to make it, smart. We don't want it to be, just out of control because obviously our infrastructure right now is basically at its limits. Obviously, we have a water plant that can produce more water, but we got to get it out, and we have to be able to do it without losing the water that we're producing and knowing where it's going. So yeah, definitely growth. I mean, like I said, we got 200 plus lots available. We have a subdivision up on Kayla Road, just out of town, that is platted. I mean, that might take a little bit to get going again, but we have the availability to grow. We talk about always bringing in retail. Retail comes when you get rooftops. It's undeniable. I mean, you look around us and go to the towns around. You go to Morris. Morris has all these places, and they don't have. I mean, they're probably double the size of us, but they have those places that we seek. It does take time. It takes rooftops, but to grow, again, you got to do it in a smart way. You just can't balloon, and I don't think that's what Lisa's saying either. You just can't blow it up because you're just going to tax the infrastructure. We need to build it up in a smart way. And also, as you do that, you build up, and I know that the mayor candidate has talked about that at the forum is the impact fees to go along with it. There's an impact fee for a reason because new people coming to town building houses causes an impact. How much do we need to charge them? That's something that probably needs to be explored.
Okay. Lisa, would you prefer to let the state remove the dam or leave it as it is and risk more drowning lawsuits?
I believe I've made this comment before, but I think the dam probably needs to be removed at this point. That it has caused a lot of issues for the city in the form of drownings and lawsuits, and I don't see a way where as leaders in the community that we can continue to let that exist and placing that financial burden on our residents of that possibility of if there is another drowning, what is that going to happen? What is that going to do to us where our liability, or we'll lose insurance as a city, and then all that cost of any lawsuit falls directly on the residents' heads, and I don't want to see that happen.
Okay.
So it's kind of, we've reached that point.
Jonathan?
Well, I grew up in Kankakee, and there's a dam there, but it was not, obviously not as, if you've been by it, it's not near as wide as what our dam is here, and that one actually has electrical, plant there basically for them to use. I'm neither for or against tearing it out. I'm for the one that we can do it with the most financial reason. I mean, there's talk about we can put, make it less turbulent. I mean, okay, what comes with that? I'm looking for the, I want to say the cheapest, but the most efficient way for the city, for the residents, not to have to pay for this thing that was put there, how many, 100+ years ago, without hitting the taxpayers for that. Is there state funds available? Yeah. What does the state funds do? What does that make us accountable for? Just not now, but down the road. Okay, if you take the dam out, what does that do to the mill race? How does that affect that? What's it going to do to the rest of the properties, upstream, downstream? So it's more than just taking out the dam, and I get the lives. I think the city's done what they can right now to try and prevent people from going into it. But, I mean, I've been out and about in town, and I hear the helicopters that go, oh crap, here we go again. So, and that was when I was on the council, knowing, okay, I know tomorrow we're going to be getting an email about something happening. So, I'm looking for, I want to hear the best options that are available now versus what I knew about 8 years ago. And it's not an easy question, because I believe the dam could stay, but I also believe it could go, depending upon what it's going to cost the city. If the state's going to pay us money to do it, we might have to look at doing it. But again, what is the residual cost down the road if we were to take it out?
Okay. What can be done to bring relief to residential water bills, Lisa?
Off the top of my head, I honestly don't have a solution. It's not, as I've worked on the council, it's not a committee I've been actively involved in over the years. It's the one that runs the water bills. I do know that the issue we are having does have many layers of complexity that have to be dealt with and worked with. And I know that those who have been on that committee have worked diligently to find those sources of those leaks. And again, they haven't been found. We've used money to install meters, and we have a staff member who does that. But again, with COVID, he was not able to enter into buildings, enter into homes. So that's kind of an issue, is the being allowed to enter into residences to replace those meters and get those things working properly. I feel like every time we found a solution to one problem, 3 more problems have been found at the same time. It's a horrible situation. I pay the same water bills as everybody else, and for a while there, I had 5 grown adults showering and washing clothes in my house. That was a very large water bill. So I want to see it lowered. I don't have a solution, though, I'm sorry to say.
Okay. Jonathan?
Well, I kind of addressed it earlier, right? We do need to look at it. Obviously, right off the top, when you look at the utility bill, it has multiple facets to it. One of the biggest components to it really is the sewer plant. It's the sewer fund basically to pay off the loan. That is a big chunk of it. I think we have that for another 8 years, thereabouts. That's probably going to be past any of the current terms that we're looking at. That's going to be there, but I think a lot of citizens don't realize what that fee goes for. Looking at, Lisa mentioned, and we've talked about this, as well as the infrastructure. Todd Holmes brought up the fact that the infrastructure within the city and the replacement of pipes, it's going to happen to figure out where the water is going. We have to be a little bit more, okay, how much water is coming out of the plant? I know that's in the budget for next year is to replace the existing meters so they can get a better number of how much water is actually being produced out of the plant. And then you can start looking at it and going, okay, well, we send this much water here, this much water here, and start monitoring that, trying to figure out where that loss is coming from. We did the same thing back in Mayor Orr's term, from 2000, his first term from 09 to 13 when I was on the council. We had people come out and look at it. We found a big leak out at Water's Edge. We fixed that. I thought, we're done, we're good, we'll be good going forward. It's like the old thing, you plug in this hole, the dam, the next thing you know, you got 2 more popping up, and Lisa kind of said the same thing. So there is no easy answer. And trust me, I get it when my college-age son comes home, my water bill goes up $20. And well, it might be a little bit cheaper for him to be home sometimes, but, so no, overall, I agree. Any one of the candidates says we have a magic potion to make this work, would just be flat out lying to the public, and I'm not going to do that. It's just, it's a tough answer, but there's certain steps to take. One, fix the water bills, fix the water meters that we have, get those fixed so you can start controlling and seeing what really is going out and what's being billed to the clients.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan. Lisa, do you support bringing back the leaf vacuum?
Well, considering that the leaf pickup service is actually included in our waste pickup bill, you're already paying for a leaf vac. And then to bring back the leaf vac, that's a duplicate service in an essence. It's I know it would be easier for some people just to be able to rake the leaves to the edge of the yard, but it's not something that's going to be feasible for the city going forward to repurchase and maintain another piece of equipment that we already are being billed for that service through our waste management, through our waste pickup. I know it's not a very popular opinion.
I will say I'm in favor of looking at it. Obviously, I know residents that have talked to me about it. I had actually, when I started, putting out my name for running for alderman, they were like, "We want the leaf vac back. We want that back." I went, "Okay." I couldn't remember why it stopped in the first place. I just remember reading that it had stopped. I know there were parts, it broke down. There was manpower issues. I'm in favor of looking for it. I'm a runner. I run through town, and I get that we do pay for it. You pay for it to have the leaves bagged. I run through town, and I see people that just rake their leaves to the edge, and then they go into the storm sewer. They go into the gutters, and they just sit there and they break down. And then when it comes to winter, it ices up, it dams up, and you get flooding back up. So personally, I'm in favor of looking at the methods of figuring out how to make that thing work again. I get it, I get there's manpower to it, but if we're constantly going and fixing, we have sewers backing up or storm sewers backing up because we've got leaves clogging it in, financially it might be worthwhile to look at it and fix that leaf vac and get the people out working on it again in the falls.
Lisa, do you support repealing the city ordinance that bans cannabis businesses from operating in Wilmington?
Well, I actually voted for that ban, to be honest. And one of the arguments I had and still have is, at this point, cannabis use is not at a place where it's regulated. So like when you're drinking a can of beer, you know exactly how much alcohol is in that beer. When you go buy cannabis, there's no regulations that state how much is in this and how much is in that product. So without those regulations from the federal level on down, it's hard to regulate. And then you add on to it the expense of our police department, our police force does not have a way of determining how high are you, and is that limit impairing your ability to drive. And so until those are there, I'm going to continue to support the ban. But once those things are there, I'll be happy to look at the issue again and reconsider the decision. But that's really what I'm looking for, is supporting our police department in basically enforcing the laws that you're not driving impaired, or you're not entering a situation impaired that you shouldn't be.
Okay. Jonathan?
Wow, I hadn't even thought of this question. I didn't know one even said a word to me throughout the whole time. Like, hey, can you pass this so I can blaze away at my house? Wow, I will say this. I know people that have used it for medical purposes. I'm in favor of that. I know people have used it, and I've talked to them and heard that. But that is, from a medical marijuana perspective, I really don't have an answer. At least it sounds like her being on the council when it was passed, that I'll give Lisa deference on this one, because she sounds like she knows the issue better than what I would. I had not really even researched it to go, hey, why are they doing this? I know I remember reading Mayor Strong's comments about it, that basically they're walking around in a cloud of haze in Colorado. It's probably not wrong. I have to see what, we always look for tax revenue, bringing in tax revenue into the city. And that was the major push by the state, by Pritzker when he was pushing it, and by Chicago. You hear all this big money. I mean, during COVID, what was open? liquor stores and pot dispensaries, for crying out loud. So is it worth it financially to do it? I don't know. That's something I'd really have to see. Being a small town, would it be financially beneficial for us to open that up? And then the impact in the community and the impact what she brought about with the police department and what we have there. We're going to have other issues going on with the police department in the next few months, it sounds like, with what's been passed by the state legislature. So that could be an issue bigger than what we would see with legalized marijuana.
Okay,
Man, they gave us a bunch.
16 of them all, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, what is the
You
most
could have
pressing?
warned us.
Well, then you would have waited.
Been like President Biden and had the list of questions in front of him.
Okay, well, he can't read it. Okay, what is the most pressing issue the city faces in 2021, and how should the city address it?
I think the most pressing issue has been the water bill. That seems to be the issue that I hear the most out of the residents, is how do we face this, the water issue. Like you said, we've got new buildings, we've got repair work, there's a lot of things that have to happen, there's a lot of infrastructure that has to be repaired in order to find those leaks, meters that need to be finished installing, and a plan needs to be created to maintain this equipment so that we don't run into this in the future, so we're not continuing to compound the issue. But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest issues that's going to face the council, is the continued water bill issue. Yeah.
John?
Okay, well, the water bill issue is encompassing upon the infrastructure issue. If we can start identifying the issues within the infrastructure, the water loss, that'll help start bringing that down. I look at it and go, it's all part of a planning. We got to start planning for things. We got to start being able to put plans in place. One, and I didn't mention this in my opening, is when we start looking for federal and state grants, what they start looking for is, what have you planned for? What have you done? When you talk shovel ready, what have you put in place? Have you done the engineering work? Has the city been willing to pay the money up front for the engineering work to get things put in place, so that when they come up and they go, you hear the federal government say, we got shovel ready projects. We got all these trillions of dollars, billions of dollars going to local communities. Well, if you don't have shovel ready projects ready to go, you're going to get zero. And in the long run, the taxpayers in this small community are going to be on the hook for paying those bills. So we got to look at it from the perspective, what's pressing? Yeah, the water bill is pressing, but if we don't start setting in place plans, short-term, long-term, to address the issues that we have infrastructure-wise, the water issue is never going to go away. So that's looking at it from that perspective.
Okay. You guys are done.
Oh, that was.
Thank you, candidates. We will now take a small break to get the candidates for mayor into position. Thank you. Got a few things I've got to say for the chamber. The chamber's glad you're all here tonight. No matter the outcome tonight, we want you to remember that the town by no means is broken. During 2020, Wilmington Chamber members collected $6.67 million in sales tax, a record amount. Not bad considering it was COVID. But good government takes good leadership, and as part of the process, we invited these three candidates for mayor here tonight so the public can get a better sense of who they are, who they want to lead our community in the next 4 years. We have an order of the ballot: incumbent Roy Strong, current 3rd Ward Alderman Ben Dietz, and previous Mayor Marty Orr. Questions from the public submitted in advance we will be asked to one candidate. They will have 2 minutes to answer. The next candidate can then rebuke if they wish. The third candidate can comment only if they have a different perspective. Each candidate will be given a skip and I defer 2 cards if they so decide to use them. Remember,
We got one of these ask instead things, so we can ask you guys too, so
remember,
that's what they told us.
no screaming, fighting, spitting, kicking, or crying is allowed. Let's begin.
I know I do.
All right. You make a opening statement. Roy, we'll start with you and go right straight down.
Well, I have a couple of things to say before I start. In today's sound off, yesterday's sound off, there's somebody put their article in, of course, they put their name on it. that they said, well, why is the city paying for this light tower? Well, they're not. It was already paid for. Some of the businesses downtown paid for that light tower. So right now, there's no expense from the city. And no matter what happens, whoever wins or not, we need that. And again, it's I can't emphasize enough about that. We need anything we do down there to prevent drownings. We need to do so. It's going to be, we're going to get it sandblasted and painted. That's our next goal, and then we have to pour up base and then get it in there. But I just want to, and then I also wanted to, I thought the school would be here too. I guess they're not candidates for that.
No.
And I wanted to thank this Wilmington school. I think we're the only school in Will County that stayed open. And I think that anybody has kids, we've got a bunch of kids here. And I just, it's fantastic that our school board and everybody got together and said that we're staying open. And I'm just so proud of them. And all the stuff we read about Chicago, New York, LA, they're not open. I don't understand that. But then I got a short thing. I just got this today. The police got a award, and it's the chief sent it out. Last year, the Wilmington police personnel responded to more than 8,272 dispatch calls, from criminal investigations to domestic violence incidents, mental health crisis, interventions to school security, motor vehicle accidents to animal complaints, etc. To maintain a consistent professional response, the department relies on comprehensive, up-to-date policies. So I'm proud to announce that the police department has recently been notified that we have achieved gold level recognition for 2020 as part of the Lexapol Connect Customer Recognition Program, which recognizes police agencies for excellence in policy maintenance and training. Lexapol is the nation's leading content policy and training platform for public safety agencies. The Connect program tracks our performance on 5 metrics proven to measure success to policy management. Sorry, there's much more I can read it, but it's a big award, and our police got it, and I think our police is it's a very good department. It's run by a good chief, and I think we have a lot of good officers. All right, my name's Roy Strong. I was mayor for 8 years now, 4 before, and then 4 now. And I was born in Silver Cross Hospital and brought to Wilmington as a baby, and been here ever since. I'm the 5th generation here in Wilmington. I went to Wilmington schools. I was 4 years in the Marine Corps. I was a year in Vietnam. My main job was mechanic, but we flew guns also, so I was a machine gunner over there on a CH-46. Went to Fort Lewis College, degree in business administration. Nice little college. I was great night with Durango's. If you've ever been to Durango, it's a fun little town. I was glad to be able to go there. Played football there and wrestled. During my time here, I've coached about everything. Before I was married, I coached football, and then my daughters, I had 2 daughters, Anna and Ashley, and I've coached baseball and softball with them. I've coached wrestling for quite a few years. And my 2 daughters, I'm so proud of them. Anna is a project manager in San Diego. She went to Eastern Illinois, business degree. Ashley is a pilot for the Navy. She went to Naval Academy, and she's right now in the Mediterranean. She sent me a note. She's in Crete right now. They're resupplying, so she's having quite a career. That's it. That's enough.
Marty?
All right. Marty Orr. I've been living in Wilmington now for 30 years. Moved here back in 90. Been married to my lovely wife, Veronica, for 29 and a half of those years. She's actually a Kaler. I met her in Florida, and then I followed her up here. So I don't know. We ended up here. So that's how I ended up in Wilmington. I've had I have 2 wonderful kids, very independent and very opinionated, as some know my son. He is very opinionated, but they're very successful and very happy to have been their father, still am their father, I guess I should say. And I also have a 3-year-old grandson who's got grandpa wrapped around his little finger, but he don't know it yet, so please don't tell him. So that's me, and that's how I got here. One of the big things is, as far as why did I get into politics, or how did I get into politics, was very simple. When my daughter was about 3 or 4 years old, I wanted to get the playground equipment put in Northcrest Park that wasn't put in there. It was very simple, just by going to those type of meetings, trying to get stuff for my daughter. Really got me involved in politics and just kind of grew from there. I started really getting started with the Park District in '97. Was with the Park District for 4 years, been with the council for 8 on the council, and then the mayor for 8. And I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to represent the city of Wilmington again.
Thank you, Marty. Ben?
So, to be fair, I wrote down some notes so I don't forget this. It kind of feels like another best man speech that I'm giving, because there's half the people that are on her side of the family, and I don't know any of them, and they don't know me, and then my side of the family, where some of them know me and some of them don't. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to screw this up, so I did take some notes. So it says, I am Ben. Just kidding.
Hi, Ben.
39 years old. Been living in Wilmington with my wife, Jessica, who was born and raised here for the last 15 years. And together we have 3 boys that are all in Wilmington schools. I've been in management my entire professional career since I left college. The last 10 years, I've been a project manager for a large software company. I'm also part of the community foundation in town, where we went around and cleaned up some of the parks and worked with the city last year to finalize part of that and get Northcrest Park to the Wilmington Park District, giving it its first property that it's ever owned in 70 years. So along those same lines, the reason why I'm running for mayor is kind of simple. I mean, I've been on the council for 2 years, and it's been a couple of things have been pretty apparent to me. And one is we don't have any long-term plans. We have really no plans at all. The second is, the current mayor, good guy, but he only likes to work with people in his circle. And unfortunately, that's not me. And I just think we need a plan. We need to start moving forward instead of the bickering and the fighting, and just unite as one. And both of these guys, bless them, they've got 25 years as they've been elected officials in Wilmington, and we're still talking, and we're going to talk about tonight some of the same things that they've talked about every 4 years since it seems like the beginning of time. And I think it's just time we actually get some stuff done instead of talking about it.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Okay, to recap the format quickly, you will each have 2 minutes to respond to questions. We will ring a bell when you have 15 seconds remaining and call time at 2 minutes. Okay, the first question we'll start with is with Ben. Okay. What do you think is the most important responsibility to the city as mayor?
Most important responsibility, I would say, is leading the direction. So you have to be the example of the town. You're the first one that anyone that's trying to build in Wilmington interacts with, typically. And it's that first impression that sets the tone. It's also the first thing if you have tourists in town, or you have a big event, or you want that leader of the city to be a shining example of how you want to portray Wilmington.
Marty?
The position of mayor really is, you're the salesman. You're like I said, you're the face of Wilmington. You're there to sell Wilmington. When people come to town to look to either bring a business or bring an industry into town, the first place they go is the mayor's office. That's what they're looking for. And the mayor becomes that representative. But the mayor not only has to be that salesman and engage these people, they also have to engage the 8 people that represent all of us, and that's our aldermen. And we have to be that conduit. So the biggest role of mayor is really to kind of be the salesman and be that person that the people can go to, and also get things done within the city.
Okay. Roy?
The mayor's job is to make decisions. You have, it's a lot of weight on your shoulders. The aldermen, their job is to, make laws, and you have to sometimes remind them what their job is. And you have to, and your people call and they want something done. If it doesn't go right, it's your fault. So you have to take the heat and make decisions that help the city. And also, my job is to bring money into the city. And that's what I've done this last 4 years. We brought a lot. We've increased everything. We increased sales tax, revenue, and then of course I was given. Of course there was a recession, but we weren't given very much money to start my first year, and we couldn't do very much in the city. It was pretty rough. At the last year, we were started out with like 1 or 200,000 is all we had in our reserves, our budget. We're up to 1.6 million right now. So we've increased that much during a pandemic. And like somebody mentioned, Steve mentioned, the sales tax in Wilmington was tremendous. And I went to every business during this pandemic and told them, stay open, do not close. And had they closed, some of those closed, they probably have been out of business today. And I said, wear your mask, stay open. And I think everybody realizes that Coal City, I think over there, they told them, they closed everybody up. How can you do that? It was in the paper before. I said, I will not be part of that. I will not close these businesses. That's not right. And I didn't. And I think we're the results of that is a sales tax. I think we're 60,000 over right now from 4 years ago this year, even going through the pandemic. So that's pretty good.
Okay. All right, next question. Ben, do you believe the city has done enough to mitigate COVID, or could we have done a better job?
I mean, so to be fair, it's hard to say if we could have done a better job. I mean, absolutely we could have, without a doubt. Do I think we did a good job? Probably. You know, as Roy said, you know, we have to keep the businesses open, but we have to do it responsibly. So places like pharmacies and, you know, the convenience stores and the grocery stores, absolutely, you have to wear your mask. It's not just about you, it's about the public. Now, if you're going out to a bar or a restaurant, that's an optional activity. You don't have to do that. But at the same time, we need to make sure that our residents are safe. I mean, primarily, that's our job, is to ensure the public good.
You got a rebuttal there, Marty?
No rebuttals, but I mean, as far as did the city do a good job with the pandemic? I think, you know, like Ben said, it's kind of hard to gauge. We've never went through a pandemic before, so there's really nothing to kind of compare it to. But the biggest thing is with anything, especially with the pandemic, would have been to educate and get the information out to the people. Use every resource you had, whether it be printed media, social media, the phone tree system. I don't know a lot of people on the phone tree. I know Diamond would call with all kinds of, you know, responses on the phone and stuff like that. So the biggest thing is to educate the people and let the people make the decision that's best for them.
Okay. Roy?
No, we did. I thought we did a real good job. How far you go, it was if you felt unsafe, don't go in there. Wear your mask. I think most people felt that way. If people don't have their mask on, well, don't go in there. Don't go down. You could order food by they'll deliver food, anything you wanted. I think they even started delivering booze and everything. So you didn't have to go in there if you're worried about your health. And again, our businesses did so much better. I mean, Whitmore's normally had 500 people a day, and weekends they were doing 500 people every day of the week. Of course, we know the liquor stores were busy, grocery stores were busy. Durazio Ford was selling 7 cars a day. We had huge sales tax from Durazio Ford, and all the dealerships did well. So our town, I think, did very well. And anybody went by McDonald's, I think the line never quit. It was wrong, and same as AJ's. AJ's did very well. They probably wish the pandemic would keep going, because I think they did better than they normally did. So and also, I mean, we still don't know what this was. Was it a flu? It was a lot was political because of the election. I think we all realize that. And I can't say where, but we'd have like 19 cases. We got to 30 or something, some 40, but a lot of it came from one place in city. I'm not gonna say where it was at. A lot of came out of there, and it wasn't more of citizens. And I think we're down to we're at 18 or something. It kind of stays there. But no, I thought for considering what happened, the city did very good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this one's just for you, Marty.
Uh-oh.
After you did away with city stickers for vehicles, how did you replace the revenue lost to the city?
When we eliminated city stickers, which was basically an unfair tax, which was kind of glad to get rid of, the replacement in revenue really came from the gamings, from the gambling machines. We've seen a huge uptick, and we continue to see a huge uptick in the gambling revenue that we receive. The truck stop and namely all the other ones was really the reason or the ability for us to eliminate city stickers.
Okay. This is for all three of you. We'll start with Roy this time. Are you involved in any volunteer work in the community?
Yeah, volunteer work is, I think, this question came up, I think, our last election. And like I said before, I've coached football, wrestling, football, baseball. I presently volunteer coach for the junior high track and the wrestling. So I've done this since I've been here, since I came back in the late 70s. I volunteered on something. And so, no, I think that it's a huge thing. Wilmington is a very volunteer kind of town. As we all, I'm sure almost everybody here has volunteered for stuff. You know, I see a lot of faces here that you see them all the time when there's an event going on, and it's just it's something to me. That's why people move here, because of what the volunteers, donations. It's just a good town to live in, and that's why we're all here. That's why I came back, because great town.
Okay. All right.
Not only coaching my kids when they were growing up in sports as well, but had I guess the privilege of being able to chair the Catfish Days Committee for going on 22 years this year. That's going to be 22. I still count last year, even though we didn't have it. But, you know, what really started out with kind of walking in and wanting to have a carnival for the kids in town has gotten from that point to where it is. And I've worked with a lot of people, volunteers through that entire 22 years. Some of them are still out here. We had ups and we had downs, and we mostly ups. And hey, I'm happy that we're doing it. I enjoy doing Catfish Days, and I could enjoy working with the people and continue doing it.
Yeah, so I'm a member of the Community Foundation, and we've done quite a few projects, even last year, despite the pandemic. You go to like the Veterans Park, we ripped up all the concrete there and got that completely redone. Redone the roof on the pavilion there. At Children's Memorial Park, we added a whole new playset that we went and tore up from a different town that was getting rid of it, so it's repurposed but not thrown away. And we have some bigger plans for this year. Hopefully, if everything works out, we'll be doing some more in town. But yeah.
Thank you, man. Okay, Marty.
Yes, sir.
How will you bring responsible growth to our town, or would you rather see the city stay as it is now?
Well, it's fairly easy. I'm a big pro-growth guy. I had to basically back in 2010 when we brought Ridgeport Logistics into the city. After it was going to Diamond at the time was a huge accomplishment from the city standpoint in bringing that type of revenue. A lot of people complain about the TIFs and what we're going to be missing out on as far as the industrial part of it, but the commercial part is huge. There's over 100 acres that are going to be developed out there. That's not part of the TIF. We get money from day one when that comes in. That's a big proponent, I think, and important for the city is the commercial and industrial growth, but even more important, the residential growth. I know Mr. Mietzner had mentioned we have over 200 vacant lots that are not being used. Some of the biggest challenges we had back in 2010, 2011 was we had no residential growth, and it was vital that we did started getting some residential growth. So the council and myself tried to come up with ways to help boost that growth. Other municipalities were doing the same thing. So what we did is we walked in and we eliminated the impact fees for each one of those lots. The impact fees to come in the neighborhood of probably $12,000 to $13,000 that a developer has to build for each lot before they build in. That's quite a lot of money. So we waived those fees and hope to encourage that growth in those lots. I think it's still vital that we continue to do that with the existing lots, but I think we also need to aggressively look at property that's within our confines, within our 1.5 mile radius of the city, and engage them. And if they're interested in doing residential development, we do that too. We got past to go. I think we need to go that way.
Okay. Roy?
You talked about the impact fees, and we continue that. But you understand that part of those impact fees, school gets so much money per house, and most people don't realize when you build your house, brand new house, and then you move in, say 20 houses were finished this year, and say they're a young family, and we have 30 kids, 25 kids. Well, the school has to furnish a teacher in the classroom. Well, they don't get money for a year. So they got to come up with that teacher in that classroom for nothing out of their pocket. So the impact from some of the impact fee was to go to the school to pay that ahead of time so that they're not at a loss. So the school always gets hurt the most, unfortunately, in negotiations, and same as the logistics at Ridge. They had when the only ones that were able to negotiate was the city and the fire department. And I had talked to Mr. Zalomi, which I patted him on the back. The guy's a smart guy, and we're lucky to have him in the fire department. He negotiated the deal so that the fire department got 50 cents square foot every building built. So say there's 8 million square feet out there, he got 4 million. The fire department got $4 million. They got a substation, and they got 12.5 cents a foot to keep the place going, so it wouldn't have to come out of their pocket. But I just and him and I talked about that. Well, what we got was $2 million, and that went to the fire department, which they built a trailer court. They brought about 5 double wides in for a police station, and there we go. And that's had leaks already, a mold. So,
Ben?
What was the question?
How will you bring responsible growth to our town, or would you rather see the city stay as it is now?
Yeah. So they both kind of touched on a lot of it, and there's no real need to kick the horse again. The big thing is we need to have a portfolio of what's available and the cost that it's going to take to develop stuff. So we have a lot of property on Water's Edge. We have a lot in North Crest that are essentially shovel ready, but it needs a lot of investment to make it happen. And if you're going to try to attract a developer, they want to know that you know what it's going to cost to do that infrastructure. And right now, I'd say we probably have no clue, which is the best guess. So, and the same with the commercial. Like, if we're not knowing what we have available and who owns that, then we're doing a bad job of trying to sell it to anyone else.
Okay, Roy, what kind of improvements and additions would you make to Wilmington for kids?
Let's think of it. The park board. When I was in Colorado, the park board was fantastic. They had everything. I stayed there one summer to get state tuition, and they had softball. They had 3 or 4 levels. Girls softball. They had basketball. They had flag football. They had things for the kids. And when I came here, the park board all they did was cut grass. I think we all realized that. They had no programs. So I'm glad that the park board, they rent that building down there. It's done so much more. They got programs. You go there. I mean, when I go there, I see the kids. They babysit kids at night. This is huge. And I remember when my oldest daughter started playing basketball. Well, they didn't have 6th grade. They didn't have basketball before that. So they got tore up, So my younger one, we would go out Thursday night through the park board, and we'd do basketball and volleyball, trying to teach them fundamentals. So I think we need more programs for those young kids, and I think that would be more through the park board, not so much the city, and educate them on everything, on drugs, the whole shot. We need more education on that. It's just not that. And also you learned that that what was the program the county had? They come in junior high. Well, junior high's too late. You got to teach those kids, 3rd grade, 2nd grade, some kids to really sink in. The drugs are bad. You can't do that. But I think we're working with the council, or the park board, and with more programs for the kids. And I think we, and maybe help pay for them.
Okay. Martin?
Ask kids instead. Okay.
Ask kids instead?
Yeah. I mean, when we were kids, it was easy. We played kick the can. We rode our bikes. We played baseball. We did all that stuff. We didn't have the stuff we do. But we need to ask the kids what they want, especially the teenagers, because that's where a lot of us gears towards. We hear it all the time. There's not enough for our kids to do. Not enough. But if we go ask our own kids, they tell us to shut the door and leave us alone. So, I can't be an expert on what they want because I'm not sure what they want anymore. From what I gathered, they like to hang out. They want to hang out together. They want to do their thing and pretty much be left alone. So from us adults. So yeah, I'd really ask the kids. That's the first thing I would do to find out what do they want. And then we'll go from there.
Ben?
As someone who has kids, I would absolutely agree that we should be asking the kids and not having 40, 50, 60-year-old guys dictate what kids want to do. No offense, but on top of that, like my
You're
part
only
of the,
39, that don't count.
I get to use it for another couple weeks. But I live on a part of town that has 0 parks available for kids, and it's the newest part of town. That's ridiculous. There's a whole, 3 square miles that has 0 parks in town. We have to go to the school and use theirs, and I know the school doesn't necessarily like that all the time, which is why I got involved with the community foundation, because we have all these parks, and up until last year, they were all city parks, and we weren't doing anything to improve them, take care of them. We had mulch that was, 10, 12 years old. We had equipment that was completely covered in spider webs and graffiti, and there was, drug knives or drug needles and all that stuff. I mean, just a bad experience for kids. So that was one of the things. Like the park district stepped up and said, yes, we would love to take care of a park. We'd love to actually own something in town instead of continuing to rent a building and have no future. So now they have something that they could potentially one day build some facilities that are theirs forever instead of renting. But yeah, I think the city absolutely needs to step up more to work with kids and find out what they want and then actually do something.
Let me make a comment on that. Not when I was mayor before, when Water's Edge came in and then the subdivision behind the city hall, we tried to give property to the park board. They did not want the parks. They did not want the property. By you, Ben, we tried to give them, take this lot here. They didn't want it. They wanted money. What the person was in charge then. And now it's changed, thank goodness. And I tried to give the Northcrest Park to the park board when I was mayor before. Marty tried too, and we couldn't get it done. Finally, we had new people there, and finally got it done. Finally got that park given to the park board. But I tried to give him property. Water's Edge, we're going to give him a couple lots. No, we don't want it. We can't take care of it. We want money. So, and now, of course, Ben doesn't know that, doesn't realize that, but that's what happened. We tried. Now the park board has changed, thank goodness, for the best, and they're actually taking property, want property, which is good.
Okay. All right. Start with you, Marty. As mayor, what would you do to improve the condition of our city parks?
Exactly what we've just been talking about. Given to the park district. That's what they do. And they work in parks. They got new administration. I've had the opportunity to meet Kristen and Kylie and the new staff that's becoming part of the park district. They're very energetic. They're very engaged. If I happen to be elected, I look forward to working with them. They're amazing people. They're going to help with Catfish Days, which is already great. But yeah, our parks need improvement, but we also need to engage with the park district. That's what they do. Our biggest challenge is our 2 island parks. For years, a lot of us remember that the park district basically ran all the parks up until they could no longer insure the North and South Island due to the lawsuits on the dam, which basically made them uninsurable. They became basically our maintenance team, so to speak. And then, Roy talks about the old guard, so to speak, or the old director, and then the new director. Just different things change, and sometimes you got to be able to engage that and work with that. And I think working with the park district is very vital to help improve our parks.
Ben?
Very much the same thing. We need to sit down at the table, not with just the park district, but the library board, the fire department, all the taxing bodies in town, and what is your intention? What would you like to do? And so, absolutely, does the city need to pay $38,000 to outsource someone else to mow it because we're not going to take care of it? No, that's silly.
Mm-hmm.
But the park district, if they want to take up some more parks, we should be absolutely pushing them to do that. Because as a city, we are not a park district. We are the city.
Right. Roy?
Yeah, there's a couple things here. When the park district had the North and South Island, they took care of it, et cetera. And then, but their insurance company said they couldn't be part of it anymore because of lawsuits. And we do have insurance. I think Lisa or somebody come up and say, we don't have insurance. We do have insurance. If there's a drowning, we have insurance. Except we have a $50,000 deductible. That was a change in our insurance, which hopefully we won't have to use, but it's there. And so I have nephews, great nephews, and a lot of those kids, I think the biggest problem is those games. they want to sit there and play those games all day and, get outside. You talked about we were young. There was no TV, so we spent the whole day outside. When the creeks used to freeze, we down there ice skate all the time, and now you hardly do that. It doesn't freeze, but no, the kids need to get outside and just get outside and play. I think the game is probably the worst thing that's happened. They're on them computers and their phones. Little kids got the phones, and so but to me that's probably the biggest problem is parents not making the kids go outside and do something.
Okay. Marty,
Yes, sir.
can you briefly explain why the general fund balance decreased over $1 million during your 8 years as mayor?
Recession. Basically we call the that type of fund the rainy day fund. And as a lot of us know, 2009, the housing market crashed. Everything was going south, and we used that rainy day fund. Was it a bad thing? I don't think so. It was our money as taxpayers. We want our government to spend our money to continue to grow, to continue to push forward even through the hardest of times, and that's why we utilize that fund. Did we want to? Absolutely, we didn't want to. We wanted everything to be rosy and everything else, and all the growth to be coming in, but it wasn't happening. So that's when you have to dip into that fund and to keep paying the bills.
Okay.
Can I also add something to that?
Sure.
Not to Marty's point, but so to run the general fund low isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you're using the tax dollars that we're charging you guys to pay on your houses. And the same thing, if we have $1.6 million in the bank and we're not doing anything with it, our roads are going to crap, our water plant needs a whole lot of work, what good is that doing either? So at that point, I'd be like, well, why isn't the city lowering my taxes since we have all this money and we're not doing anything with it? So it's having a low fund balance isn't necessarily a bad thing. Having a high fund balance is kind of a bad thing because we're not using your money. Our money. It's mine too.
Let me throw 2 cents in there.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Every mayor before me, we can go back 5 mayors. We always had that million one in there. Always had that emergency fund. And $1 million is not a lot of money for city expenses. And $1 million goes like that. So having reserves, if you don't have that, what something happens, emergency, whatever, who knows what, something blows up, you need that money. So having that reserves is very important. It's like yourself. Do you live from paycheck to paycheck? And that's how when I first got in this last time, it was like that. We lived paycheck to paycheck. We hope the money come in, so we pay the bills. And that's how it was, and that's not right. And so we built this up, but also we picked up, we're talking about, roads and stuff. And we just picked up a $700,000 rebuild fund, and it's for infrastructure. And we also picked up $201,846 in a grant to replace the water line from 53 on Kankakee Street to the tracks. So we're out there trying to find these funds, and in the 700,000 we can do some more road work. But again, remember the aldermen pick out the roads to fix, and they vote on that, which roads we're going to fix and stuff. So. And unless it's a tie or something, then I would vote. But so remember that the aldermen, they're the ones that picked this out. But this 1.6 million just happened. The last 4 or 5 months. It's not. I didn't have that to start out, so it's good, and we can actually. And my hands were tied. We couldn't do anything because we had no money. So now we can probably do projects, do more things for the city. We couldn't do that before. So and you're right, Dan. We got the money. We probably should spend it, which we will. To me, you always got to have the reserves.
All right, this question's for you, Roy. Does transparency at City Hall need to be improved? If so, how would you accomplish that?
Well, again, we have everything online. You can get ahead of time. They tell you what we're going to talk about. Everything's there. The meetings are there. You come to meetings, and we have our own city council. The city of Wilmington has its own thing on Facebook. Almost everything's on that. And we try to talk about everything in there. Now Ben goes in there and he puts online, but it's Ben's take on it, and it's not always what happened. He kind of edits what happens that night, and sometimes he doesn't put everything on there that actually happened. So, it's not good, but, and then Marty's talking about put the camera back in there, which is fine. But, you know, the city hall's open, you can come to city hall, all of our meetings, and it's kind of like here, we were hoping there'd be, you know, maybe 50, 60 people here, but I don't know, it's 30, I suppose, or 35, 40. But we need more people to, like our city council meetings, might be one person there, maybe, or two, you know, so people don't come, people aren't interested. And then they want your transparency. Well, you come to meetings and we talk about everything. So we don't hide anything. Everything's out in front.
Okay, Marty?
He hit on it. Back 4 years ago, when I was mayor, we had video of every council meeting that we had. So once we videoed it, within 2 to 3 days, it was on our website, available to be viewed at any time at your leisure. We need to get back to that. Get back to the videoing. The same thing that we did before. We video all our council meetings. But now technology's increased. We got, you know, you got Zoom and you got all that stuff. Why not have it live? Why not give you the opportunity to watch it as it's happened? You can't get more transparent than that. You can see the people that represent you at your leisure. It could be recorded. You can watch it live. And I think we need to get back to that. We never have really hit anything. We don't intend on hiding things, but I think we need to get back to where we could show the transparency on a live basis. Why not?
We have been Zooming too. We started Zooming too.
Yeah, with the pandemic, we had no
Yeah.
choice. It was, I think, a law, wasn't it?
We're still doing it though. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Marty. We absolutely need to make it available online all the time. There's just no reason why we shouldn't. You know, myself, you know, there's a lot of younger people that are starting to live in town. We don't have the time to go every Tuesday or every other Wednesday, or, you know, you need to be able to view it, and you can't just necessarily wait to decipher what the meeting minutes said or didn't say. So, yeah, we can do a lot better there.
Okay.
One more thing. I do like what Ben, I know Roy Harper, but Ben put stuff online, and really a lot of the stuff is what was given to the councilman at that evening, and I enjoyed it because there's a lot of times I couldn't go to the meetings, but I could pull up his Facebook page and see what happened.
Okay.
Thanks.
This is for you, Ben. By election day, and including all donations you have received, how much money do you expect will have been spent on your campaign to be elected mayor?
Ask my wife. Jessica?
The only thing that was spent was 100 signs by me.
Okay.
At Silver Crest Festival, I worked, and it was $1,100 for 100 signs.
Okay, no. Martin?
Probably about in the neighborhood of $3,500.
Roy?
About the same, about 35.
All right. Marty, what will you do to improve the condition of downtown and bring in more business?
Again, can I ask this one? Ask the downtown people instead. They're the business people. They're the ones that it's their business. You know, for years the city had the facade improvement grant. A lot of the downtown businesses took advantage of that facade improvement grant. It was a 50-50 grant to where I believe it was up to $5,000. Basically, if a business entity fixed the facade of their building, they brought the bill of what they spent on that building, we would award them with 50% off of that cost. We should still continue that. It was a viable program, and it worked. But to go that next level, I really think it needs to be an engagement of government officials with the people that own the buildings and own the businesses down there. We could assume what they're thinking, but unless we talk to them, we don't know what they're saying. And I think Ryan is going to be first world alderman. And that pizza's good, by the way. You might have to save me a piece. But he's going to be a great asset to the council when he gets on there because he knows the downtown. He knows the downtown probably better than any of us in here. So we utilize his resource, and then we go from there.
Roy?
The facade program, which I started when I was mayor before, and then there was no money left in it. I don't know if they had Marty had enough money to put in there or whatever, but that was empty, and we had no money to put in it. But which we had a couple businesses apply for the program, which was too bad. But also, I tore the house down by, we sold the building. We got 60,000 where the township's at. We took that money and we bought that lot. And we tore the house, I got the house donated, tore down for nothing and cleaned up. And then directly, I hope whoever's in there, we'll get some gravel in there and tar it and get to use that there pretty soon, because the biggest problem was no parking down there. And parking is always an issue. And for Cafe State, same thing. And we're gonna put, I was talked about before, there's a telephone pole by the alley, and we're gonna put power, there's power on there, we're gonna put power on there. We're gonna have outlets, 220, 110, for the vendors when they're down in Cafe State's using it. And then we'll also, Durazio has a charger for these electric cars. We're gonna put one of those down there. And we have, in that parking lot, we have four handicap spots. But if legally we have to put more, we'll put whatever it takes. But that parking lot, hopefully, and again, we tore our house down, so we couldn't go in there and build on it right away. It had to settle. So, and now it's settled, so now we can get that parking lot open. And I think that's a big improvement down there. We have two new businesses right now across from that parking lot. Baskerville moved in, and the gal next to him's got a sandwich and coffee shop. So, no, that's good, Ben.
So I'm going to take the mayor to task with this one again, because it was brought up at the chamber meeting about this parking lot, and it was the first time I heard about it. It was at the last debate we had. Since then, we've had our budget meetings for next year's fiscal budget. We go through line by line of everything that we're going to spend money on. And again, there is no money dedicated to building this, whatever this is, parking lot. So without money appropriated for anything like that, we can't do it. It's just a plan, do something, get it done. It's not just, let's just get it done and hope there's money for it. So again, as he said before, we have $1.6 million in the general fund. So we have more than enough money to put a parking lot in. We have more than enough money to fill the downtown facade program if we want to do that. And yes, we need to work with the downtown merchants to see what they want to do. Do they want us to pony up some money to help them out? Would they rather have like a 0% interest loan from the city, where maybe they want to do something bigger than that? There's a lot of options that we can do, but we absolutely have to engage the business owners to get that done. This is not something for the city just to come in and say, I'm going to improve your facade for you. That's not what we do.
Okay. Roy, 4 years ago, you said wow. Said,
Make it easy now.
well, I'm trying to,
Read with your good eye.
yeah, tell me about it. Oh, okay, you said we should sell water to Joliet to lower our bills. Joliet has chosen Chicago as their water source. Was Wilmington involved in the process with Joliet at any point, and what will you do to sell water to other communities?
Okay, first of all, going back to water, water's cheap. Water's not much money. Your water, they call your water bill. It's not a water bill, it's just sewer and everything else. The water, we might be able to do a gallon of water for, 15 cents, 20 cents cost to do a gallon of water. If you look at your bill, it's the sewer plant, and that's the big bill, and the garbage. And recently, we just negotiated our garbage contract, and we dropped it $2. So, it's $2. But the water plant, or your bill for your water is years ago, we thought everything was going to take off before the recession. We built a new sewer plant, new water treatment plant, and we increased the water facility, but the sewer plant is new. So we thought there's all this growth. Well, it didn't happen. The growth didn't happen, so we got to pay for it. And I think there's 10 years left on, or some 8 years left on the sewer plant, and then the bill will come down quite a bit. But unfortunately, but selling the water, I talked to Joliet about it, the mayor, and the mayor's in a band. He's a drummer or something in a band. I saw him out at your place, talked to him, and well, he had no intentions of buying water from us. They've got property on Towpath Lane, and originally they wanted to go down Kankakee Street with about a 6-foot pipe and suck water out of there, which wasn't going to happen. And then they've got property out by Ritchie, and they're going to go out there and take water out there. They weren't going to buy water from us, and he never had no intentions. I've talked to, they're going to go to Lake Michigan, which I'm so glad. I'd rather if we're gonna sell water, get rid of it, or even, we might have to have a partnership with Braidwood and Coal City and all of us together, and then just to drop our rate. But the water is not the big, again, water is not the big expense on your bill. It's other things. So, Coal City's interested. We're out at Ridge, and to get to Coal City, we have to go around behind, down the Renzo, and come in behind where their water treatment plant's at. So that's where it has to be. But, and then, originally, we were gonna put water down, go down to Gardner, Braidwood, and then, that fell through. ComEd was gonna pay for it, but that didn't happen. But,
Okay. Thank you, Roy. Okay, Marty, here we go again. Do you support bringing back the leaf vacuum?
Yes. Yes. No, you know, if even where I live now, a lot of people that live in the newer parts of town don't have adult trees. So they go, why do we need a leaf vacuum? We don't use it. But there are many people within this town, we are a very old community, that have a lot of adult trees. So is it a service that I absolutely think we can provide to our taxpayers? Absolutely. I don't see why it is. It's very minimal. The cost wise, we keep talking about it breaking down, and we fix it. You know, that's what you do with things. So yeah, I would definitely push to bring back the leaf vac in Wilmington.
Ben?
Yeah, I agree with Marty. Fortunately, I live in a part of town where I don't have a tree and I don't have the leaf issue, but I get it, and more importantly, it clogs the sewer. So there is a cost that everyone at some point will assume if we don't do it.
Roy?
It's not minimal to fix that thing. That thing breaks down all the time. We have to hire extra people whenever that season comes in. It's expensive to run that back. And again, when we were running that, we didn't have the money to do that. We didn't have money to hire another person to run this. You got to remember those little things called money, and we didn't have that money. And that vac is not cheap. It's probably almost wore out now. And the new one, I can't imagine what that thing would cost. Probably, I don't know, a couple $100,000 or maybe more than that, probably more than that. But no, it's not cheap. And then people kept they'd put sticks in their leaves. Well, they'd suck up those big sticks and it would break something or plug something up. And so they had a heck of a time with that. And then people just kept doing it, kept putting the sticks in there. So finally, you know, it kept breaking. Finally, we just quit using it. So it's not that easy to get it going again. It's a big headache.
Okay. This is for you, Roy. Would you rather let the state remove the dam or leave it as is and risk more drowning lawsuits?
Okay, like I said before, whatever I want, keep it or take it out, doesn't matter. It's gonna happen. I got nothing to do with it. I'm just a mayor of a city. What I want is immaterial. They're gonna do what they want. And I mentioned that before. Nothing will happen for at least 10 years. And I've got a friend in the Pentagon who knows somebody in the Corps, and there's, I think, $3.5 million or something sitting in there that nobody's approached. They have to take it out of an account to do this. And to do that would take a while. So it would take, I'm guessing, like 10 years before we can get it, get it taken out or get it repaired. And that's why I have to be proactive in trying to stop these accidents. And like that, that's why this light tower, Ryan's the one to come up with it, and he approached me and said, yes, are you kidding me? I never thought of it. The light tower, it's be great. And down there. So we're gonna put cameras on it. So the cameras are gonna face the dam and around there too, and we're gonna have a button on it where if something happens, you gotta push a button, it goes right to the fire department. So we'll have that fast reaction from the fire department. And of course, we'll have a camera on the person pushing it, so we don't get some crank crap going on. But again, whether I want it or not, it's immaterial. I'm just one person. So we can make, and then again, what happens is we have people that come to town, move to town. These gentlemen here, they came with their wives, moved to town, and they care less about the dam, you know, and I was raised here, and a lot of you were, and you enjoyed this. And if you take that dam out, it's 8 foot tall. You take that dam out, what's going to happen in that canal? There isn't going to be no canal. There'll be a little stream going through down there. And what are you going to do with that? Some of those walls are 8 feet tall. Who's going to fill that in? Can we fill that in? It's going to create more problems. So it's not that easy. There's a lot to do there. It needs to be thought out a little better. It's not just black and white. We're going to take it out, keep it. No, it's not that easy.
Okay, Ben, the city continues to budget most of its money to the police department, while Public Works lacks the money needed to upkeep roads and infrastructure. What would you do to rectify this budgeting problem?
Yeah, so, again, Tuesday, we talked about the budget for next fiscal year, and, you know, the police department is going, there's a couple of reasons why it's going up the way it is, but their budget is increasing significantly versus what it is this year, and the public works is actually decreasing. So we know we have way more issues on roads having potholes than, you know, speeders in town. And I know it's not that kind of equilibrium there, but we're talking a police budget that's approaching, what was it, 2.9 million, and our public works department that's approaching 120,000. So what would 50 grand in public works do if our budget increase was 60 versus, you know, what's the police department going to do with another 50 grand or 50 grand less? And it absolutely needs to be addressed.
Okay. Marty?
Police department is 24/7, 365 days a year. Everybody's working all the time. There's not a municipality out there, anywhere out there, where your budget for your police department is 60 to 65% of your budget, just for that simple reason. Does Public Works run 24/7? No, they're an 8-hour, 40-week job. Our police department runs that every day, every minute of the day. They're there if we need us. So yeah, it's going to be an expense. Do we hold our police chief and our department heads to the fire a little bit more to kind of get them to be a little more conservative on the aspects of what they're putting forth in front of the council budget-wise? Absolutely. Make them justify what the need is and what the purpose is. Is our budget going to go up with the police department like Ben is saying it is? Yes, because as we have good police officers and they don't go anywhere, so they gain tenure. And when you gain tenure, like any of us working in a job, when you gain tenure, your salary goes up. So those salaries are going to naturally go up. Vacation time is going to go up, so you're going to see an expense in the budget. But the biggest thing is to make sure that the department heads and our police chief are very cognizant and very conservative with their budgets as they bring them to the council. But yes, you will see a lot more on that.
Roy?
Our police department, I think, is great. I think we have a really good one. And compare it to other towns, the crime, we have, you know, almost limited crime. We had one, remember last summer, somebody spray painted downtown. Well, I put a reward out for that. And within, I think, 2 days, somebody called in and we got the kid, young kid. But it was, I said, yeah, we'll get him. And as a friend of his, I can't say who turned him in, but turned him in, you know, so, and you all know that. We have, if I'll come in town at midnight or 1 o'clock or something, I'll see somebody at Burkott's or somewhere. And so you go through town, you're always going to see a police officer around. And to me, that's what I want. I know that we're safe here. And I think we might have to pay for it. And that's what we have to do. And so it keeps going up. And then these laws, we all know about the laws they just passed, all these dumb laws they passed where they're going to have to wear body cameras. Well, we don't have to do it until 2025 because we're a small town. Well, that alone is going to cost, I don't know, 500,000. And then the body camera, you got to keep all the film for like forever. And then if somebody wants to see the film, you got to take it and take out the pictures or faces of anybody else not on there. And it's so expensive. And of course, they make the law without any money. So no, our police department, I don't see it ever. I don't know. And then again, like Marty said, they go 7 days a week, 24 hours. And so you understand that. We've got about, I think, 5 or 6 part-time. And the part-time, they're about a third of what your regular officer is. And we have a few of those that help us out a little bit. But and that, you know, and so it's something that it's one of the expenses that I'd rather have it. I'd rather feel safe. I'd rather keep the crime down. So I feel comfortable that with the cost.
Okay, thank you, Roy. Okay, Marty, is there ever a situation where it is appropriate for a city official to be swearing at people in public?
That's not a fair. I know. It's not a fair question, but no. We'll just move on for that one.
Okay, Ben?
No.
Roy?
You got your skipping.
You understand as mayor, it's another thing as mayor. My job is protect the city in every way I can. So when I was at that stop, I looked down there and these guys were up on that wall. They had black ropes on. I don't know if they were bungee jumping. I don't know what the heck they're doing. And I said, what are these jumping around? And the guy could have fell back into a car. I says, who are these guys? I don't know who they were. I think they're from North Carolina or somewhere. And then I had just that week done a 4-hour deal with a lawyer over a drowning, and I said, and we have three cases right now, people that drowned. I said, here we go again. And so I was upset with them, real upset, and probably shouldn't have cussed, but it happened. So, the reason I was there was protect that city. That's my job, and whatever it takes.
Okay, now this is for all three of you. Let's start with you, Ben. If elected, would you retain the current police chief and city administrator?
So, again, I'll use the same canned response I used last time because I liked it and I'll stand by it. We have nothing to gauge the current police chief, the current water treatment superintendent, or the city administrator. We have no idea if they're doing a good job because we have nothing that outlines what their job actually is. And every year at the end of the year, the alderman and the mayor, we all sit in a room, we talk about who's getting a raise and how much. And I always thought that was just stupid because why am I judging someone else's performance that I don't work with on a daily basis? We have no job descriptions for those people. So as mayor, I would absolutely put those performance metrics in place because any other job where you're dealing with as many employees as we have in the millions of dollars, they have to have something to be judged on, graded on, performance metrics. And whether that's, writing grants or, making sure that all the police officers have all their training done. I mean, there's absolute attainables that we can make. But to just simply say that we're going to fire people or retain them just because, I think that's irresponsible and silly.
Okay, Marty?
I think any mayor, any of us, or mayor, governor, president of the United States, should have the ability to hire the staff that they need that's going to be the best benefit for them and the goals that they're looking to move forward with.
Okay, Roy?
When you become mayor in the city, you have to surround yourself with competent people, and that's what I did. I have very good people. If I didn't have that, we wouldn't have 1.6 million in our coffer. That wouldn't be there. And then the chief, every meeting he comes to, he tells you the training they're doing, everything doing. They constantly doing training. They get an award here for what they've done by an outside source. And then our administrator has done a great job keeping everybody together. We've gone through a couple people. We replaced some people. Our accountant is a fantastic person. He's really good at what he's doing. And so I feel that way where anytime you're in a position of like a mayor or something, you have to have competent people around you, and that's what we have right now. And our lawyers, they're fantastic. They do Wilmington, Shannon, Braywood, and I think other towns. They do a lot of municipalities, so that's what their expertise is. That's what you have to have. And we've got 3 or 4 engineering companies that work for us because they all have different expertise. And you can't just have one person. They can't, like a law firm, you can't have one person. There's no way. They have to have a group and different things. And we did outsource. We're negotiating right now with our contracts, and we outsourced. We went to another firm for that because they would be better at doing that, negotiating a contract with one of our unions. So, but no, I'm very happy with the people we have.
Okay, thank you, Roy. Okay. A little comic relief here. Ben, what do you think visitors in Wilmington think about our city when they see crude political signs and Confederate flags along Route 53 and throughout town?
Initially, I never wanted to put political signs up. My wife, bless her, she wanted the best and she thought it was a good idea, so we went that route. I just think they look bad in general. There's reasons why we have sign ordinances in place so that people can't do that. There's reasons why we have garage sale ordinances so people can't have garage sales every weekend. It just gives a bad first impression. And quite literally, we have 2 ways into the town, Baltimore and 102. And if you go down 102, your experience is way different than if you go down 66. And unfortunately, I mean, people have their rights to express however they want, but at the same time, I don't think it looks good for the town.
Marty?
Yeah. Some people like them, some people don't. But it's that individual's property, just like we all have our own individual property. I don't like the fact of having to walk in and say somebody needs to remove something from their property when it's their property. Because there may be something I like on there somebody else don't in my property, and I would hate for somebody to come and tell me I have to move, especially the government. Don't like that. So, yeah.
I agree with Marty there. And they have certain rights. When he wants to put the flag out, nothing you can do about it. So why we shouldn't even ask us. We can't stop him. And I think I already went to court with that. Somebody tried to make him take down. I think he hit the flag from the races, the big flag or something up there, banner. And they said no, you don't have to. He has a right to do that. And that flag, same thing. Whether I like it or not, it's immaterial. He has a right to do it. He's going to do it. So that's that. I have nothing to do with it.
All right, Marty, do you support repealing the city ordinance that bans cannabis businesses from operating in Wilmington?
Do I support repealing the ban? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I didn't know we had one, but.
Yeah, I didn't know we had a ban repealing it, but do I support, let's make it easier. Do I support cannabis stores in Wilmington?
Right.
Let's just make that a little easier. Yes. And the reason being is if it's legal in the state of Illinois and it's able to be sold, that should be an opportunity. The person, if a business comes and wants to have that and they can get the licensings, absolutely they should be able to do it. Because it's not government that's going to make sure whether that business is successful or not, it's the consumer. Okay? Any business comes to town, if the consumer does not agree with the business, whether it be us as a consumer or outside people from outside the Wilmington come, the consumer don't go there, the business is not successful, the business will close down. So businesses should be consumer driven, not government driven.
Roy?
I totally do not want marijuana sold in Wilmington. And my reasoning is it just makes it too convenient. You're going to have kids out there. We all have kids. I have kids, grandkids. I have one grandkid. I have nieces and nephews. I do not want them smoking grass or any stuff comes out of there. And it's too convenient. If you want to smoke, go buy it in Joliet, wherever you can buy it at. If you can drive that far. It's like beer. Years ago, when we were younger, you wanted a six-pack. Well, you go find somebody 21, he go buy a six-pack for you. And it's the same thing. And before I told you about Colorado when they made it legal out there. In the first year that they had it legal, they made money hand or foot. Then now they've got. And when I go out there, I talk to these businesses all the time. How you doing? How's the marijuana treating you? Oh Jesus, they can't get nobody to work. People go out there and they smoke. They're high all day. They don't want to work. Well, they're on welfare. They go on welfare, and it's a mess. And for every dollar they make, it's cost them $2 in Colorado. So that'll come around here. You get a couple of years, you'll see pretty soon these people that smoke, they're going to be on next thing they'll be on welfare, don't work. But the other thing, unfortunately, because we go out to these plants all the time to work, and they don't even do drug tests no more because they won't get anybody. There ain't drug tests because of the drugs.
Okay. Mark, Ben?
So 2 years ago, when this came up to council, I abstained from the vote because there's a lot of unknowns as far as what that looked like in a retail environment and how that would affect the town. And now, if someone wanted to come back to town and do that, I would be for it. There's a lot of things we can do as a town as far as zoning to say you can come to town, but you have to come here. Not that it's going to be next to your house or right in the middle of downtown. I mean, hell, we could put it out in the middle of a cornfield down Piatone Road if we wanted to. So to say no, like flat out and not allow businesses to come to town, I would not be for that. So I think we should probably repeal it.
Okay, Roy, this is for you and Marty. Okay, you can go first. You have both had 8 years as mayor. What would you get done with 12 years that you couldn't have already done in 8?
Well, again, I think Marty says the same thing. Right now, I'm negotiating. It's not. I don't know if it's a big deal, but Ben sometimes gets angry to me because he doesn't hear something. But sometimes there's a lot of things happen. As a mayor, you can't tell anybody. Well, right now I'm negotiating with Durazio, and they want to leave town. So that's why I let them use the front part of the parking lot. we leased that, and they leased property from Whitmore's to stay. You know, they got over 300 cars, and their sales were huge. We made all kinds of money from them. Well, they're talking about go down to 55. So we're trying to figure this out right now. So it's a big thing. And as mayor, of course, I got to finish this. We're talking about our biggest sales tax of the whole town is Durazio. So we can't afford to lose that. So that's just one thing that we needed to continue to get done. And there's a few other things, the same thing. You can't talk about everything, and unfortunately, until it comes up. And then like, well, how come you tell me? Well, I really can't. That's unfortunately.
I mean, you just talked about a deal that you haven't told me about, and you just told a room of 50 people.
Yeah, well, I didn't tell you details. Just negotiate.
Need to know. I guess. I mean, apparently the general public needs to know before the alderman.
Okay. All right.
Wait, don't I get it? You said it was for me and Roy. I didn't hold up to skip it.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
I'm sorry.
All right. We have a lot coming. We should all see this. Burlington Northern is going to be building an overpass over the Lorenzo Road Bridge, or the Lorenzo Road Railroad track, starting this year. I think it's a $10 million project. Railroads don't do something just for the heck of it, to build bridges over railroad tracks, unless they got a main purpose behind it. They're coming. They're going to be building a larger intermodal on the other side of Lorenzo Road. It's going to be here. It's going to be attracting business. Secondly, we also have the 129 interchange coming back. Okay, so with the 129 interchange coming back, when we annexed Bridgeport, there was 2 parcels of property, the Tamlin Campground and Rinks Farm, that was part of the annexation process, as well as property of Cinder Ridge. They all have B3 zoning. We gave them B3 zoning when they annexed. B3 is the highest commercial property zoning they can have. Are they interested in selling? We don't know. Okay, how do we know? We get with them. We got to plan and prepare. Ben hit on it at the beginning. From a council standpoint and mayor standpoint, is to put together that plan. Be ready for when the building starts coming, because when the building starts coming, the growth's going to start coming, both commercial-wise, residential-wise, and industrial-wise. We have a plan. We have a good team in place. We want to be at the table with the developers or with the owners as these companies come in. There's no more vital. It's a great asset when you can be a player with the people that own the property. Instead of being a detriment, be a player with them. Be there with them. Say you're going to help support them in whatever their end goal is with their property. That's where we need to get to. And that's what I hope to do in the next 4 years.
Let me something to add to that. The railroad is coming. They're going to be on Kankakee Street also. But they were here when they put that bridge in downtown, the new bridge over the Kankakee River. There was a lot of animosity toward the city. The city tried to shake them down over some issues, and the railroad was very upset with the city. And we had a leak under the railroad, and they wanted we had to get under there on Water Street where it goes under the railroad, and they wanted to charge us $5,000 permit plus $1,100 for 2 guys for 2 days to watch us and to fix that line. I thought, what's this about? Well, there's somebody from the railroad was telling me that's what happened. They were still mad at us over that. I think Marty's gentleman there, he told the railroad he wanted to fix all the soffits in downtown and spend all this money, which wasn't going to happen. It didn't happen. So they were pretty upset. Hopefully they're cooling down now a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of things coming. Peatone Road improvement, everybody knows that. That's going to start April 1st. 129 Lorenzo Road, that's going to start. Railroad starting again. Of course, we talked about that. So yeah, this next 4 years are going to be.
I have to rebut. We're talking 2 different railroads. The railroad he's talking about is Union Pacific. The railroad I was talking about, Lorenzo Road, was Burlington Northern and Santa Fe. We didn't shake down Union Pacific. Union Pacific wanted to put the high-speed rail in place. However, they wanted to use Kankakee Street. They wanted to use Water Street as the main avenues to bring overweight vehicles into that property. We did not allow that because our roads weren't designed for overweight. What they wanted to do is hey, we'll just take pictures when we start, and then if there's any type of damage, we'll just fix them after we're done. We said, no, that's not how we want to do this, because as we all know, people, especially in the road industry, it may be good today, but next week after they're gone, it starts to fall apart. So we wanted some type of bond issue. They would not issue that bond issue to this. So we actually went to the Secretary of Transportation at the time, and I can't remember his name, and we actually have in place an agreement where upon completion of the high-speed rail, they will repave Kankakee Street and Water Street at the expense of the state and the railroad. Nothing to do with us. It was what we needed to do to protect our assets, which was our roadways, to ensure that those were taken care of when they got done with the high-speed rail. We didn't shake them down, so.
Okay. This is again for you and Roy.
Oh.
You can go first this time, Marty.
Okay.
In retrospect, do you think the city should have gotten a better police station building for $2 million?
You know, I know Royce hit on the police station quite a bit. Believe it or not, when we started negotiations with Bridgeport for the $2 million, the $2 million within that agreement was already in place. When Roy's team had started negotiating with Bridgeport back in 2006, believe it or not, that was one of the things that they had agreed upon before negotiations fell apart in 2008, and they said they were going to Diamond, they weren't coming to Wilmington. So when we started our negotiations back in 2009, we didn't know whether $2 million was good enough or not. We just did not negotiate anything higher as it came to the $2 million. But as you go on and you look at it, and it wasn't just me and it wasn't just my staff, it was the entire council at the same time. It was a lot of debate and a lot of stuff that went into it. We realized that doing a stick-built police station was $4 to $6 million, which would have taken us to go to the taxpayers to ask for a referendum to increase your taxes to pay for this police station. We didn't want to do that, so we were looking at ways on how we could fund a new police station for $2 million at absolutely zero cost to the taxpayers. So that's where it was a long process. It was 6, 8, 10 months before we even got to the point. We looked at available property. We looked at other areas that were using modular, or as he says, trailers, modular police stations in their municipalities. We've seen those modular police stations. I visited a few. They're very nice police stations. And we was able to get this under $2 million, which I think was the biggest critical aspect of the council and myself, was to ensure that we could get a police station at no cost to the taxpayers. You can't, we don't want to put a burden on us or the taxpayers. We wanted to do it without it. Did we have issues? Yes, there were issues out of our control that were basically with the general contractor that was kind of skimming everything from the company. They had to come back in and fix it at no cost to the city. They fixed it themselves.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, when you're going to build a jail, you have your plans and you send it to the state Department of Corrections, I believe, and they okay your plans. Well, in their case, they buy this thing from Indiana, bring these double wides over and set them out front. Then they took their plans and gave it to Department of Corrections. Well, and I don't know if you know this, but for a jail, it has to be in concrete or block, not wood. Well, the jails and that are all wood, so they can't use them. We have to transport prisoners to Joliet. Can't use them. There's no jail in Wilmington, and that's cost a lot of time. There's another thing that's silly, and then also if you have juveniles in trouble, they have to be separate. They can't be near the adults. They have to be separate. You can't pass them by there. They separate girls, boys, adult. So all this stuff, it is in. They said no, you can't do it. So and then those trailers they brought in, every door had to be replaced. They take every door out. There's no frames, no nothing on them. We had to bid it, but we put a bathroom up front because the only bathrooms were in the back, and they had to. You have to go through the whole place to go to the bathroom. So they put a bathroom up front. And again, I say it's got. And they're building out a retention pond. Can you do that? A retention pond. How do you do that? Who can do that? And I think we got ordinances against trailers. You can't even bring a trailer in town, but they did it. Building on top of a retention pond. Who can do that? I can't do that. And then there's all kinds, and there's no parking over there. They have to park in the city parking lot. And also, my idea was to go Blue Central. And right now I feel with St. Rose people, Lisa went to St. Rose, they closed it, and you do too. You go by there, you just want to cry. Well, same thing. Every time I go by Blue Central, it's gone. I went 6 years there, and a lot of people went all 12 years there. and they tore it down. They didn't have to. I know he didn't do it, but they could have had it for $1. They wouldn't take it. And so, and Tim wanted to build a new a fire station there, so they ended up tearing it down. But that Booth Central didn't have to go. It could have been there, yeah, but it won't win, so.
Okay, this one's for you, Ben. Did our building inspector have to contact you about getting a permit for your swimming pool and fence, and also assess you a late fee?
Did he have to contact me? No.
No.
Can you say the question again?
Did our building inspector have to contact you about getting a permit for your swimming pool and fence, and also assess you a late fee?
So yeah, I have a pool. Yeah, I have a hot tub. Yeah, I have a fence.
Did you have a building permit?
I had a permit for the fence when it was installed, whenever we moved there, and it was inspected. The pool was not. We did pay an additional fee for that.
Okay.
But he did not contact me to do that. I contacted him to do that.
Okay. All right. Marty and Roy.
Oh, yay.
And Marty's, again, I didn't write these. In Marty's propaganda, he claims to have widened Kankakee Street. Did the money for that come from a grant that was applied for and approved during Roy's first term as mayor?
Was that me?
Yeah, that was you.
Oh, I didn't know if he was asking Roy first
No,
or me
that's
first.
you.
Did the grant process start under Mayor Roy's administration? Absolutely. Did we complete the project after I took over? Yes.
Okay, and was it a grant?
It was a 80-20 grant, if I remember right. So 20% of it was ours, 80% was from, I don't remember what the grant was. Gosh, that was in 2009.
Anything else?
That's a lot of years ago.
Yeah, Cheryl Parochial was the one that got the grant for us. She's administrator then. And what they said, they wanted to do, we had money to do 4 blocks. And it had to be through a through street. So Kankakee Street's only one. So we thought the best spot would be from 53 to St. Rose, which I think it turned out great because you got the church there and also you're going to schools. So, you know, when people come in their buses, you like a nice road for them, you know. And so, yeah, we got the grant, and then before we could put it in, I was out of office, and then so Marty got to put it in. But no, we're the ones that got the grant.
Okay. This is for all three. What is one decision made during the current administration that you would like a chance to revisit? Ben, we'll start with you.
Nothing. I wouldn't revisit anything in the 2 years that I've done.
Okay. Roy?
Oh, I don't, the engineering firm, the engineering we had before, I probably should have replaced them sooner than, you know, I waited 3-4 months, I don't know, 6 months maybe, and then we brought Rod Tonelli in, who's a great group, probably, you know. But.
Okay. Any comment on that, Marty?
Yeah, I think I'll go to my propaganda again. No, I think one of the biggest things is to eliminate the automatic sewer and water increase. I believe, I mean, as tough as it is every year from a council standpoint, a mayor's standpoint, to discuss water rate increases or however it works, that needs to be debated every year, not an automatic increase. I'd eliminate that.
Okay. Ben, what is your plan to persuade specific types of business to come to town?
Well, first, it starts with knowing what you have available and if they're willing to do anything with it. So, you know, unfortunately, the city can't make businesses come to town. I can't make someone sell their property. So the property owners have to be willing to sell it, first of all.
Okay.
We need to know what's available and what people are looking to do with that. So if they have a long-term project, if, like, for instance, Tamlin's, if they're holding out for more development on 129 before they want to sell out to a Holiday Inn Express, that is their option to do so.
Yeah.
But we need to know what, if possible, what their plans or intentions are with their property.
Okay, Marty?
Yeah, we hit kind of what Ben hit on. Same thing. We have a 20-year comprehensive plan that we visit every couple of years. That kind of shows the direction on where we're looking to go within our property, but within a mile and a half outside our property, whether it be business, commercial, industrial. But like I said, the engagement of those people that own the property, and whether it be just a simple phone call, a simple "How you doing? Hey, if you need anything, let us know." And to try to be that conduit or be that resource for that property owner if they're engaged by a business to come use their property. We need to show that type of involvement.
I've called Redmond's out there 3 times to see if they want to sell their property, and they're very upset with me. They could tell me, don't call me no more. We're not going to ever sell it. But it's prime property.
Right.
Everybody knows Redmond's across from 55. I'm 55. So and then earlier last year. We got contacted and somebody wanted to put a Dunkin' Donuts in, but it had to be in town, coming from the south. It had to be on the right side coming to town. Well, there's by Burger King, there was a little spot there, where when the gas station, when they took the tanks out, a little spot there, but they weren't happy, so they didn't buy property. So like you can't, make people come, but, and then luckily our businesses in town, there's a thing called the Amazon effect. I don't bore you guys. I talked about before. And the Amazon effect is where everybody, people buy online now. They don't hardly go to the stores. So it affects more like, say, a shoe store or a clothing store or something like that. But in Wilmington, our businesses they're not those kind of stores. So it really doesn't affect them as much. So they're saying in this whole talk about it, you want to have things for people come to town to stay there. So parks are important. And I think the walk bridge over the canal, things like that, where they can walk around and it's as you go down to the brewery and in the summertime weekends, you can walk around the town. It makes it more fun, more enjoyable. And, and of course I'm trying to get more parking downtown, but like that big mall in Minnesota, the biggest mall, they got a whole carnival in there, and they got all this stuff to keep people there. So you want people to come down here. And when we have the wine on water, that's a great thing. People come and visit, and then they come back. They come back shopping. So, yeah. All
right, thanks. Okay. This is for all of you. Ben, we'll start with you. How will you market our island city for natural environment we have?
How will we market the city for the natural environment?
How will you market our island city for the natural environment we have, meaning our parks and so on?
It's hard to do with the island because the major feature is you can't go anywhere near the water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to market something, and then once they get there, you're building walls,
right?
Stuff to keep them out. I mean, that's, as everyone's already said, that's the major crux is the dam is an issue because the residents understand the problem. It's the people that come from out of town and have issues there, the very same people we're trying to market to,
yeah.
But we have something to market them and can't do nothing with it. So it's hard to market.
Marty?
We have our parks, like Ben mentioned. We also have the conservation area. We have a tremendous amount of fishing. We have Medewan, and we have buffalo, or bison as they call them. I call them buffalo. Those are our marketing resources. Work with those type of entities. The Forest Service always loves having people, but why don't we combine that with the business aspect? And when people come to Medewan or people come to the Des Plaines Conservation Area to fish, that they're aware of the resources we have inside town that are more business associated, where they can come in, have lunch, do whatever they want to do, buy their tackle. So that's kind of how I would utilize this marketing.
Right.
Well, drawing people to town, a big thing now in Wilmington is the bicycling. And I've gone last summer, a bunch of us went out to the Wabansi Trail. And I bicycle quite a bit. We're so lucky to have that here. People don't realize that. Just you get on that trail and go for miles and miles. It's a fantastic thing, But we're going to do it when Todd, in fact, they're going to start April 1st on Piatone Road. Well, they wanted to take it up. I left it in there. They're going to a bicycle path. Well, I want bicycle paths wherever we go. It's a big thing. You can get money for them. And I think originally when they ran the water and sewer out to Ridge, there was a bicycle path on it, but it got taken off, which is unfortunate because that would have been really nice, bicycle path on that. So things like that, people that bicycle spend money. So I'm trying to draw people like that here. And Midhaven, of course, is a huge place to go out to. The conservation area, just a lot of people go out there, you know, and then of course the eagles are coming around, and the fishing is nothing better than in our whole area, you know, and I'm trying to get that dugout behind Nellie's there, that pit. It was a big area for walleye spawning, so I was trying to get that dug out, but they you know, the Corps wants me to get a muscle study and like anything you do, they want to do the muscle study. Well, that's expensive. You know, I want to put another sign upriver. Oh, you got to do a muscle study, and the water is like 4 inches deep. I said, what are you talking about? A muscle study. Yeah. So, no, but we have a great town. We have a lot of natural resources, and I think that everybody knows that. And people go down the dam area to sit there and just watch everything. So it's a pretty good place.
Okay. This will be the last question, guys. Each year, the city appropriates $10,000 for economic development. What has this money been used for? Ben?
No clue.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Anything, Marty?
Yeah, I don't remember it in the past, so I don't, if it's there, I don't know what it's being used for, no, but it could be used to help promote economic development in town.
Okay.
Again, I agree with them guys. It's kind of a gray one there. And then if there is money in there for that, then again, we, you know, say the alderman say, well, what can we do with that money? You know, when you go to committee, so we have 10,000 we can spend, and say that they'll. I think they used to. I brought that up before. They used to have a sign out there on 55. You know, the antique shops in town. You know, things like that. I don't know what it costs to rent that for a year, but you know, and then Steve with the chamber put those signs up by downtown, which really good looking thing, and you know, that's nice. That was nice. We could probably use some more. Somebody suggested getting some more out on Kayla Road in 120 and 102 for out there, but yeah, that's a good question. Where do you spend it at? Yeah, I don't.
Okay. We'll have closing statements. We'll start with you, Mayor.
Oh, I enjoyed being mayor. Whatever happens. I'm not gonna go cry in a corner over it. But we have things out to finish, of course, and like same as Marty or Ben, there's things he wants to do. We have again, we have a good group in the city hall, some very competent people to get things done, and we're going along pretty good. You know, got a good police department, a good maintenance department, and we finally got money. We can do more things. We bought a few machines this year. We're bought a few more trucks, so we're going along pretty good. The sewer plant's running good. The water treatment plant, we got to put a roof on there. We'll probably spend 50, 60, maybe 70,000 on that, maybe more, maybe 150,000. We haven't got a price yet, but you know, we'll get that done. So I'm just looking forward to the next 4 years. We'll, you know, and again, we got a couple grants. We're going to fix some more of the roads. And again, the infrastructure is old. You know that. It's probably 100 years old, some of those lines. I think Kankakee Street is the oldest, the sewer lines. And so we had, I think the leaks were minimal this year. Maybe, I don't know if we had 10 at all. So that was pretty good. But you know, just we'll stay with it and you know, and hopefully fix more of the roads. I know it's a big complaint, but we'll get that done. We'll get more roads done. So, yeah.
Marty?
I want to thank the chamber for providing us the opportunity to be able to do this. Also the VFW to give us this, you know, allow us to use this facility. But I also want to thank everybody that stood up, even these guys, Tom Smith, Ryan Knight, Lisa Butler, Ryan Jeffries, et al. They're taking the opportunity to stand up to be a voice or a conduit to make their city better. But I think it's also most important that everybody came out here, keep all of us, whoever it may be, sitting in those 9 seats, keep them honest. Make sure that they're there for the best of us. And thank you for the time.
Okay, Ben?
So again, thanks for everyone for coming out. That's awesome. Whoever wins, I hope that they have some serious plans to get something done instead of just talking all this crap. It's frustrating. I've only been in the city hall for 2 years, and that's the reason why I'm running for mayor, because I just can't do it. I mean, it's hard to want to better the town, and you're hitting a brick wall because there's no will or want to do that. Next 10 years are going to be huge. We have a lot of stuff coming to town, whether we like it or not, and we need to have some serious plans to get stuff done.
Okay. Thank you all. And that brings our close to the forum. Thanks again to everybody come, and make sure you all go out and vote April 6th.